What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel, and it's International Fight Week UFC 303, and today we're going to be talking about the main event, Alex Pereira versus Jiri Prochazka 2. Now, of course, this was supposed to be Conor McGregor versus Michael Chandler, but of course, that fight's not happening. This isn't a bad replacement, though. The last time these two fought, it was so exciting. I mean, the fight itself, I was expecting a little bit more from. I thought it was going to last longer and it was going to be a bit of a war, but Pereira went in there, second round, he was able to knock Jiri out and become the light heavyweight champion of the world. And while of course I would love to be watching McGregor and Chandler go at it this weekend, I can't be too upset with this fight. I mean, on paper, these are two of the most violent guys in the UFC, two of the scariest guys, honestly, two guys that really are tribal warriors, you feel, and are going to go in there and leave it all out on the line once again for the fans. And both these guys have had one fight in between their last matchup. Alex Pereira, of course, fought Jamal Hill at UFC 300, where he got the job over Hill, knocked him out. And then Jiri Prochazka also fought at UFC 300 against Alexander Rakic. Two incredible fights that also had incredible finishes by both guys. The Jiri and Rakic fight was actually pretty interesting because, honestly, Rakic was winning that fight at the beginning for sure. He was definitely getting the better of Jiri on the feet, winning a lot of the exchanges, but then Jiri came out in the second round and just had that dog in him and was able to fight through and finish Alexander Rakic. That's the thing with Jiri. He's very unpredictable, very unique, and you never know what you're going to get from him. And I think a little bit of that unpredictability helps him in these fights against super high-level guys that may be better than him in some areas. And then, of course, Alex Pereira knocked out Jamal Hill, and there was a little bit of confusion. They thought that potentially Jamal Hill had a cup shot against Pereira. Pereira, of course, did the badass thing, shoved Herb Dean out of the way, and landed the knockout blow. He had that celebration after, of course, that pissed off Jamal Hill, but it doesn't matter. Pereira went in there, got the job done, and looked like a beast doing so. So it sets these two up for another interesting matchup. I mean, this could have been Magomed Ankalaev stepping in against Pereira, but I don't really think the UFC likes Ankalaev too much, and Ankalaev, he seems to be trying to call a lot of the shots, and when you're not the champ, that's definitely something you don't do. So they've given it to Jiri, and this is a more compelling fight either way. This rematch is going to be very fun, and like I mentioned before, the unpredictability of Jiri Prochazka could make this a super close and super interesting fight. Like the first time these two fought, it wasn't like Pereira was completely dominating Jiri. Jiri had his opportunities, had his chances, he took Pereira down, and overall he looked pretty good in the fight, but Pereira caught him right on the chin, and if you do that, you're going to sleep. So, I mean, it wasn't Jiri's fault, but it's what happens. I mean, Alex Pereira, he does that to every guy he fights. If he catches you properly on the chin, then there's just no coming back from it. So that's definitely what Jiri's going to have to avoid this time around. Like, he's definitely not going to want to be too wild, especially against a guy like Alex, but he definitely is going to want to resort to the wrestling again in this one. I mean, the first time he had some success with it, Pereira was able to get back up, but if Jiri can get better at it and potentially use it even more in this fight, I think it'll definitely help him. I mean, we saw him use it a little bit more in the Rakic fight, and it helped him there when he fought a high-level striker. So I don't see why he wouldn't try and do it again against Alex. And for Alex, you pretty much just got to do a lot of the same that you were doing in that first fight. Try and control the distance, don't let Jiri take you down, and eventually you'll probably end up finding that one punch that you need to stop the fight. Now, part of me is thinking that this is going to go really similar to the first one and we're just going to get an early stoppage. But the more and more I think about it, I think Jiri is going to be a little bit more cautious this time around. He's going to learn from his mistakes last time, and he's not going to be too over-aggressive, but at the same time, he's not going to allow Pereira to dictate the tempo of the fight. He's going to try and land his shots while getting takedowns and be a lot more conservative in all the exchanges. And ultimately, I think it's going to lead to a longer fight that he could win. I'm not going to say that I think Prochazka is going to win this one because, honestly, I don't. I still think Alex Pereira will win this fight once again. It'll be in the later rounds where he's wore Jiri down a bit and then eventually just lands a perfect shot that leads to a TKO finish. I don't know. Jiri could definitely go in there and win. And honestly, I'd probably like to see him win because then it would set up an awesome trilogy. But Unfortunately, I think Pereira is just a little bit too crisp for him on the feet. I also don't think Pereira is as bad as everybody thinks he is on the ground. I mean, trading with a guy like Glover Teixeira, you're going to learn a lot and you're going to get better. So my official prediction is going to be Alex Pereira via KO or TKO in the 3rd or 4th round later on in the fight. And that's just how I see things going. But remember, I wouldn't be surprised if Jiri was able to go in there and do the same thing to Alex. These are two complete warriors, and I'm super excited to see this fight on Saturday. Let me know what you guys think, though. Who do you guys have winning the rematch at UFC 303? You have Jiri? Do you have Alex? Let me know down below. I want to hear what you guys have to say. Thank you all for watching this video, and be on the lookout for more videos covering UFC 303 as the week goes on. We got the Diego Lopez and Brian Ortega fight. We have Ian Gary versus MVP. There's a lot of great stuff happening on this card, and I'm going to be talking about it. Thank you all for watching once again, and I'll catch you all in the next one.